live.
Hi everyone, welcome to Wales Comic Con Live, raising funds for Mind, the charity helping us to maintain a better mental health, especially over the COVID situation.
Good luck with that.
Absolutely. My name's Dr. Rhys Jones, and today I'm in conversation with the one, the only, the king of hell himself, Mark Sheppard. Mark, how are you, good sir?
I'm well, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. You're doing better than me because it is bright, it is dry out there. You're certainly not in Wales. Where are you?
Not in Wales.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It is raining here, persistently.
I'm in Los Angeles, and it's actually cold for us. It's about 55 or 60 degrees, so it's this is freezing for us. We have car accidents and people slide off the road when it hits like 60 degrees because they don't know what to do in it. It's not exactly England. Let's put it that way.
Oh, brilliant. How are you keeping? Because we've all been sort of locked down. We've got this new fantastic thing called Zoom that we all seem to be living off. How have you dealt with sort of moving over to doing everything online?
Well, it's weird as I've always been an online person in that way. But I just look at it as the sort of lesser of several evils. It's a good platform. It does work. But we've sort of, every time we sort of co-opt a new technology into our consciousness, there's always a consequence. It's like, we've seen what's happened with Twitter, and we've seen what's happened with Facebook, and we've seen what's happened with all these other things. But I think we're definitely craving human contact, certainly after, 8-10 months of having to isolate, having to do these things. And, without becoming either too political or trying to rankle anybody that might have differing views. The truth of the matter is this has been handled so poorly. And I can't help feeling we could have been doing this for 2 months and coming out the other side of it if we'd actually got on with it and paid attention to what we were supposed to be doing. The medical profession is stretched to a limit that they have never been stretched to. And I think the downside of this, going back to the conversation we're actually talking about, is that people who, allegedly normal people are having massive issues with mental health right now, massive issues with mental health. The stress and the strain of not going outside and not getting your vitamin D from the sun and so many simple things, but basic human contact, the ability to not be walking around in fear or, having to gauge every single thing you do. It just takes such a massive toll on everybody. And, if I've got a 15-year-old and I've got a 21-year-old, and the 15-year-old is doing his, quite expensive schooling on Zoom, and trying to keep him interested. It shows you the vast difference between what you and I are doing now and what we do when we're sitting in a green room in Wrexham or Telford. And, those are the things we crave. We crave human interaction, and you take that away from us for whatever reason, and you're going to get some really, really scary results. There are some people who love isolating, and this is their greatest wish, but I think they're very few and far between.
No, absolutely.
But I think it's important to say to everybody that whatever your mental health state, you kind of got to treat yourself as though everybody has an issue right now. I mean, some obviously more severe than others. And things like Zoom and Twitter and touching base and FaceTime, which is a wonderful thing, is you've got to talk to each other. You've got to keep in contact with your friends, and you've got to do it. Otherwise, you end up in this spiral of living inside your own head, which is, there's only how many times you can rearrange and clean the furniture. There's only so many things you can do. You've got to be sane. You've got to try to feed that ability to be sane. And I feel for everybody who's, I feel worse for people who are who had issues before this started, because it only exacerbates and makes things so much more difficult and painful. And so, stay in touch. I mean, I've been doing cameos, and as weird as it sounds, I mean, we have this incredible thing, Jamie and Sean and a lot of other people in England have created these events where there is contact between yourself and your public, which is not something that happens organically in television, right? It's something that's so weird and rare in television. Theatre, we have it. Live performance, we have it, be it music or anything else. But when we're talking about that human contact, we've had these amazing conventions. Doesn't matter how big they are, but we've managed to create a world by which we have contact with each other, and we get to speak to our audience, and our audience gets to speak to us. And it's such, you don't realize how important that is until you don't have it anymore. And I'm really pleased that Jamie and everybody else, and Vanessa in France, even though this is not a substitute for a real convention or the ability to have proper conversation with each other, it's at least it's something. We're trying to put something out there so we don't lose contact in that way. We love it. We love our audience. We're nothing without our audience, right, Reese? I mean, you and I both agree, 100%. We're absolutely nothing without our audience, and that wonderful thing of being able to go to a convention and actually interact with your own audience and get their feelings back to you creates this incredible organic experience. And this is a stopgap, and I'm proud to do it. I just I can't wait to go to Telford or Wrexham or wherever it is we may be going at whatever time we go. But I can't wait for it. It's such a high spot in my year. Whatever I'm struggling with, whatever family issues are going on, and my wife's got physical issues that people know about, and I've got a type 1 diabetic son and all the rest of these things. That lovely break that we get by going, as we did forever, to Glendower, showing up there and walking around and seeing a lot of familiar faces. And I think I can only urge people who are having great difficulty right now to make contact, whatever the issue is, however difficult it is for you to do, and however much courage it takes to do it. If you make contact, at least it'll take a little bit of that anxiety away.
Absolutely. I know when we all agreed to do some of these events where we were speaking online, we thought, will this work? Will it not work? And the amount of people that got back to us and just said, thank you so much. I desperately needed this. And it's just meant so much to so many people. And that's why we're so grateful to you, Mark, because you're always here for us. You're always willing to step up, be counted, be there. And, I think the fans know that. I think they really do.
It is actually my job. I mean, let's be absolutely honest. It is my job, but I do love it. And that's the point. And there are logistics involved. Somebody's got to fly me over and I've got to be able to stay somewhere. And now we're going to have to deal with immunity issues and vaccine issues and all the rest of that. And we're going to have to provide an environment, which I'm sure Jamie's working very, very hard to do, so that at people who have that nervousness, we have, a lot of fans of Supernatural. I know a lot of fans who have autoimmune and disabilities that are definitely compromised by being in large places with people that might not be following rules.
Yeah.
And so I went and did a thing in Texas. It was fascinating. And I went to Six Flags in Texas, which you would think would be the worst place to go. And the promoter there had arranged it so well. All I did was guest talks. All I did was speak. So I didn't get to meet and greet the fans. And we had our, and even there, we were in an outside auditorium, a typical sort of, Disneyland type with Six Flags, but like a giant stage with giant seating, and everyone was able to stay apart and wear a mask, and they were enforcing everything. I mean, even the horror stories we hear about people not caring. I think in this industry, we are there to prove that we care. We're there to prove that we can be safe. Because if we lose this ability to have this contact with our audience, it's going to take a massive toll on everyone. It's not a financial thing. I mean, obviously, it's going to cost more money to run a convention that has less people and has to be 100% safer than it's ever been. But I know that people like Jamie and Sean will do everything in their power to make that as safe as possible. And we're going to do it too. We're going to make it work. We will make it work. So maybe they're going to be smaller for a while, but maybe you guys are going to get longer one-on-ones. Maybe we'll be craving that relationship so much. It may be even better for the fans. You know what I mean? Because there's been people with compromised immune systems before COVID, and we've never really had to address. It's always been down to the individual to do it, and now we all have to do it. We're a community. We're all equal parts of this community. You and I and everybody else that we know, the wrestlers, the actors, the voiceover guys, the strange and remote celebrities. It's down to all of us to fight this good fight. And when we do, it's going to come back probably better than ever, because there's a spirit in our community that isn't necessarily in any of the other communities. I mean, deciding whether you're going to go out and have a hamburger is not exactly the same thing as whether you're deciding to go out and see somebody you want to make contact with who's in your favorite show. So it's on us to make sure that we facilitate the best and the safest possible method of doing so, and it's on them to carry that message forward.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I'm rambling, but it's fun.
No. It's true. It's a shared responsibility between all of us, and I think the fans will want to hear this as well. They'll want to hear how eager we are to get those conventions working again, but get them working under safe parameters so that they can concentrate on enjoying themselves, knowing that we're thinking about the health and safety. Whoever they are fans of, it's going to be basically the convention staff, the people working to make that convention work, and also all the stars that are coming as well. Everybody under the same ethos. So I think that's really.
But I just thought I can't think of a better group of people than fans. Who's exhibited behavior. I mean, it's like we've got cultural wars going on all over the globe. We've got all this animosity and anger and all this crazy stuff, especially here right now. Absolutely ridiculous what is going on. And yet I've never seen anyone be more than upset or in distress. I don't see violent, aggressive actions at conventions. I don't see that behavior. It seems to be a thing that not only, the fans have been derided for years by the press as, sad people living in basements. They have no idea just how powerful the movement for good is with this. I mean, with Supernatural, which is an example of a show that has themes that connect with so many people. Yeah, mental health, brotherly love, good, evil, all this stuff coming together, being a family, doing all these things. It's what the fans have always done with it that has surprised me. Is they come in behind. Misha ran a Stacey Abrams fundraiser, and whatever it was, I think it was $250,000 were raised for an extremely good cause. And some people don't want to do it, but those that do it, voraciously. They and there is no better group in the world in any situation than people who are identified as fans, people who care about something and use that and put positive energy behind it. And we've seen money raised. You and I know just how powerful that is. It's mine. And I think, as a friend of mine, Hubert Selby Jr., wrote Last Exit to Brooklyn and Requiem for a Dream and those things. And he always said that AA was the great spiritual experiment because it was, such a wide concept that did so much good. And I've sort of extrapolated that over the years, that to actually see that true fandom, is a beautiful spiritual experiment. It's to see people helping other people all the time, to see when somebody's not doing well and they've got the guts to put it out on Twitter or they've got the guts to put it out on Facebook, to see people who love the same show as they do just step in and say, give me a call. Let's talk through this. You're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone. And I think it's something so special we can't ignore it anymore. They've tried to monetize it for years. I mean, there's methods to do so, but conventions are not a thing for a promoter to sit there and make money. That's not the fundamental behind it. I mean, it obviously has to be a going concern. You can't just rent enormous places and put loads of people in there without cost. But it seems to be that these conventions and these meeting places are just this sort of hive for people to come together in a common good. And I love it. I absolutely love it. It's sacred to me.
Oh, it's so lovely to hear. I mean, people want to hear this, and people, I speak to the fans afterwards, especially
Yeah.
when we come off stage, and there's literally hundreds of people who want to, they want to talk to the host as well. They say, oh, I just love this. I love Mark doing this. And it's just so lovely to hear you speak with such passion and sincerity about meeting the fans and whatnot as well, because they absolutely love you. Whenever I'm at a convention, your name comes up. And what I love is, the obvious one for me is Supernatural, but I always hear your name mentioned, whether it's Doctor Who, I'll tell you the one that always comes up, Firefly, Badger.
Yeah.
My God, people love that character.
It's I mean, there's within fandom, we're all fans. I don't trust anybody who isn't a fan of something. I mean, it really scares me when people just don't attach to the beauty in art or the message in something that has some meaning. It doesn't matter what it is. It's the fact that ability exists to do so, that ability to actually to connect with a piece of art or a piece of television or a piece of music. And it's passion. It's absolutely about passion. And there is no better. I've spoken to so many actors who have never done conventions, and all they've ever heard is I mean, my favorite, without busting him, because there was nothing negative in this, is Matt Smith was originally going to go do a convention in England, and he was like, and he'd heard so much negatives because he'd never done it. And all people kept saying was, oh, it's a bit this and it's a bit that, and you get to meet people who are, and I said, mate, it's like theatre. When you're in theatre, and you breathe, they breathe, you breathe, they breathe, they ooh, they are. Your entire performance, your life changes with your audience. And in television, we don't have that. We're not in the front room with you when you're watching it. So when you get to go out on stage and talk and answer a question from a person that you've never been asked before, and it's fascinating, or it's a new take on something you're doing, you're having a shared experience with your audience. And there's no other place to get that than a convention. I mean, it's just the way we do it. Zoom's not going to replace it. I mean, it's wonderful. I like the one-on-one of Zoom. I don't like, the messaging thing, that's fine. But when somebody comes to a microphone and they've been waiting 3 months to ask you a question, and they planned it out, and I just find it beautiful. I find it a loving exchange, and it pushes our art forwards. So every time an actor's experienced it, who's never done it before, I said to Matt, you'll sleep for 3 days afterwards, because the literal outpouring of emotion, true, genuine connection with your audience, is something you'll never experience anywhere else. Because we make television, we've got 150 crew and everybody around us. Oh, that was fabulous, well done, that's great. And you're very excited. And you see it on telly, you go, yeah, that wasn't bad, that was really good, it came out well. That's not the same as having an audience cheering for a message that you've managed to be part of. Or we go to Hall H at Comic-Con every year, and people were sleeping out all night to get in the line, and Misha sending them pizza, and just this connection. I remember the first time, one of the most startling moments was I think Misha had bought the little light up little candles, the little votive candles, but the little light up ones. And Jared was talking, I just shoved him, and he looked up, and there was 6,000 people holding little candles up, in association with, always keep fighting, and with all of this thing. And it's a tangible, real connection. And I don't want to lose that. And what to bring that back down to what we're talking about today is the courage of people who are in mental health crises, everything from people going through transition, through people coming out or not coming out. I'm talking about specific instances that I've experienced in conventions. The people talking with you about something that's so personal to them that they've never managed to address, sharing their journey with you, sharing their journey with people around them, and not being judged for it, and only being loved for it. and only being helped by other people's experience. Where else are you going to get that? I mean, I know what I get in AA. I know what many people get from church and belonging to these things. But for a convention to give you that, for the Supernatural family or the Firefly fans or BSG fans or Whovians, you're talking about such a special bond coming together in a positive way, never a negative way. And it's such a power. It's such an incredible thing. And if you're nervous and if you have anxiety, or you have depression, you have any of these things, and you have the ability to go with a friend or somebody who can look after you if you're not feeling safe, you will experience kindness and love.
Yeah.
Not only from actors and performers, but from other people there who want you to have nothing better than a wonderful time. You know, and I love that. And I truly love that. And I don't want to see our conventions disappear or be diluted down to electronics. I mean, obviously, I remember I did a convention with Barrowman, and Barrowman had either messed his leg up or done something. And he was on a big screen from home, and it was funny and it worked. But I can't imagine that that's going to be the future, is that we all phone it in, because it's the eye contact and it's the things that people didn't want to come and say, but for some reason they come out and say, I'm having, you know, I'm not their doctor, I'm not their psychiatrist, I'm not that stuff. But personal issues do come up. They really do. When you see somebody in distress in front of you, you go, are you okay? Do you need a minute? What's going on? And that human connection can change the trajectory of somebody's mental health issues. Urging people to get professional help, urging people who say something to me like, you know, I'm not feeling good. I don't think I'm being good to myself right now. The amount of people I've seen have come up who are cutters, and I've experienced. My wife is very vocal about having been a cutter younger in her life, but to be able to say to somebody, it's like, oh, you know, how long have you not been cutting? And it's such a powerful thing to know you're not alone.
Yeah.
And I want people to understand that we do this for the connection. Yeah, there's money. You've got to fly in. You've got to do stuff. You've got to work. You've got to do those things. But it's not about that. It's actually about having that connection and being part of it and being a fan as well. I think that's what we are. I think that's what you are. That's what I am. I know. And everybody else we know really well. We're all fans. Yeah. We're all fans of something.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know, that's the point. We love Who. I don't just watch Doctor Who and watch my bits and turn it off. You know, it's not. It's a shared experience, and I urge anybody who's never done it that as long as we know we can be safe and we take the right precautions and we work towards a safe, sanitary, and correct way of doing this. I want you guys to experience this. I want you guys to be able to come into this and share that shared love, that big bundle of love that Jamie creates, as crazy as Jamie is, much as I love Jamie. But I mean, have you ever noticed that all the promoters of these great shows that we do all are massively passionate about their own shows that they love and the actors that they love? And it's this shared thing. It's wanting to share it with other people. Jamie wants to share us with his friends, is the way it kind of works.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a simple thing, you know? And I find that plane, it's rare. I find that there are promoters there that it's just about banging out the money and getting as many people through the turnstile. And those don't seem to work as well.
No.
They just don't. And I've always been amazed that Jamie can run a convention, that we were at capacity at Glendower from the first time I was there.
Yeah.
And you know, we went to Telford and it didn't feel different.
It didn't feel unnatural at all, did it? It was, we literally got there and it was just filled up again. I don't know where all the extra people came from. It just literally went to capacity again.
Did you ever see the video of Catherine Tate and Alex dancing on the gang?
Absolutely, yeah.
I was in the middle of a conversation with them, and Donald Logue and myself were up there talking, and they saw the Dance Dance Revolution bus and the big screen, and they just went for it. You can't and that's the other thing, is that when we're sequestered behind in a building and they never see us walking through the auditorium or saying hello, there's that lack of connection too. And Jamie's always engineered it. When in Glendower, you have to walk from building to building. and you get to see everybody. And that's my favorite part, is coming down the spiral staircase and walking over for photos and talking to, X hundred people. Hey, Mark, how you doing? Hello, Mark. And it's people you've seen before, people you've seen on the floor. Yeah. And it's just that, it's proof of connection. It's proof that we're together and we're all in this together. It's a lovely thing.
Absolutely. And we say all this in together, because I've got to say, you just said about the spiral staircase, which we all love walking down and seeing everyone. And I was at the bottom of the spiral staircase before signing, and I could hear, "Oi, Dr. Joe, doctor," like that. And I looked around, it was you. You were calling me from the top of the spiral staircase. Literally, everyone is in this together. It's so lovely. So it is a real family. And when we get together, it is just incredible. There's this fantastic feeling.
Well, celebrity is a really weird thing. I've got friends who can't go to the grocery store easily. I've got friends who can't go to a shopping mall because it's just impossible to do. There is a difference, not specifically, but there is a difference between a lot of the way that the girls are treated and the boys are treated. It does happen, and there is, because if you're in a show that somebody loves, there's a lot of passion going on there, and there are very, very odd, very rare circumstances where people are either unable to learn to know how to behave, or that it just escapes them to behave in an appropriate manner. And what I love is that we keep as much connection as we can. There's no separation between us and our audience in that way, but there's just a little bit of a buffer zone to mean that especially celebrities who aren't used to that sort of connection with fans, how comfortable the fans are with you and me and everybody else that we know. There has to be that little buffer zone just to make sure they don't get too scared. That's the strange thing, Absolutely. I mean, but it is a great leveler. It's a great leveler. Fandom is a leveler. It really is. It puts us all in the same place. It really does. We're lucky enough to get paid for doing stuff we love, and we weren't getting paid for it. We were doing it when we weren't getting paid for it, and we'd still do it. We'd still do it for that connection, and that's what it's about. I think it's a beautiful thing.
It's brilliant. And as you said, that connection when you're at the conventions, you mentioned Catherine Tate there. I actually spoke to Catherine yesterday, and she was saying that she's not on social media at all. And she was under the impression she'd heard one voice, somebody in the media had come to her and said that, "Oh, do you know everybody hates your role in Doctor Who?" So she wouldn't do conventions because she thought she was going to get slated when she came. And of course, then she arrived at her first convention. She was sort of badgered into doing it. And of course, realised that wasn't the case at all. Everybody absolutely loved her. And she's done them ever since, but she's quite shy. So it was a revelation to her.
That's what I was going to say. I was literally just champing at the bit just to say, she's an incredibly shy woman for having such an outward personality of characters that are some of them are wonderfully obnoxious and incredibly gregarious or occupy the room. She's a truly shy, very beautiful, very kind, very gentle woman.
Generous as well.
Yes. Yeah. And, oh God, she's just lovely. And I'm so pleased that I got to meet her. I was so happy to meet her. So I'm a big fan of her work. I actually got to tell her a brilliant story. He's a mate of mine, Kurt Smith from Tears for Fears, has a Mini, right? He has a Mini in LA. Wow. And he pulled up outside a restaurant. I was like, "Hey Kurt, how you doing?" And I looked at his license plate. And his license plate is My Bothered. MIBOVRD. Am I bothered?
My bothered.
So I had to, when I met Catherine, I was like, "I've got to tell you something." So Kurt Smith from Tears for Fears has Am I Bothered on his license plate. She has a massive cultural impact. And we realized that, Matt and all the doctors, every one of the doctors that I've ever met and have been lucky enough to meet have this incredible connection with their fans. They mean so much to so many people. Somebody explained to me once, when you're in a movie theater, when you're a movie star, people travel to go see you in a movie theater, not anymore, but they used to travel, and it's a different type of bond you have with that character. They're sort of untouchable. They're up on the big screen, etc. But when you're on TV, you're in people's living rooms. You're connected to them in the living room.
Yeah.
And it's such a person. It's almost like they own you a little more. Do you know what I mean? Which I kind of love. I think it's wonderful because they're sure they know you. They know what you're about, especially doing what you do. There's a lot of you in what you do, right?
Yeah.
But with a lot of actors, like Catherine, for example, she's very different than the characters she plays. And again, a convention is a great place to find out, oh, she's so nice. Oh, she's so, wow, she talked to me about this. This was amazing. She answered my question. She did this. I mean, you hear that all the time, and it's just a wonderful thing. And I'm just so excited for the actors who never got to experience it or got told there was something negative. Yeah. And that comes us around to another mental health aspect. Right. So Twitter, Facebook, everything else. Sean Harry, in his infinite wisdom, said one of the smartest things I'd ever heard. It was years ago when we all started getting reviewed by people on social media, right? Mm-hmm. And he said, you do realize, Mark, you get far more attention for writing something nasty than you do for writing something nice. And it always stuck with me. It's a really smart point, is that if you write, love your show, love you from Brazil, which I get 470 times a day, which I think is just wonderful. Yeah. But just the outpourings of support are wonderful. But the one guy that goes, F you, you're a bleeding pedo or something, which is, we're allowed to do this in conversation and talk about people and try to destroy people. That gets the attention. So if you're on social media on a personal level, forget about it at a minor celebrity level, but at a personal level, people are just writing shit for entertainment. If they're saying something nasty about your appearance, they're talking out of their asses. You cannot take it personally. And it's actually what's funny is the great arbiter of that is the outpourings of love are the most honest things on the internet.
Absolutely.
I stand by that completely. So if you've got people, as soon as somebody starts going, why aren't you doing this? Or you should be doing this, or blah, 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 blah. Just say a nice little prayer for them. Hope they have a much better day. Mute or block them. That's the job.
Absolutely. Normally, they're only looking for their 2 minutes of fame anyway from their 2 followers. So all the nice people, nice people look after themselves and they've got lots of fun. We get lots of lovely people saying lovely things. It reminds me actually exactly what you were saying there. Jerry Halliwell, she said she was playing Wembley Stadium and she said there was 60,000, I think it was 60,000 fans.
Who was she playing for, Arsenal?
She could have.
Arsenal never get to Wembley Stadium,
she was there, with the Spice Girls doing a bit, and she said they were all just shouting for her. And she said, then she looked down at the front of the stage, and she just thought, this is the greatest concert ever. And she looked down the front of the stage, there was one bloke lifting a middle finger at her, and she said that's the only out of those 60,000 fans, that's the only thing she can remember about that concert. And it just goes, probably somebody's boyfriend who was brought in didn't want to be there. And it just goes to show, it's just that one, those empty vessels make so much noise. And we've got to learn to get real filters just to say, do you know what? Your opinion is diluted here and thank you, but,
That's the problem. That's the problem with opinions. It's like, they're all valid to you. The else.
Absolutely.
That's the point. And a little bit of decency and love filters through that stuff. I mean, I've got pissed off at a couple of people when I've got time. I get annoyed by somebody saying something nasty or attacking my 4-year-old or some stupid stuff.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And if I've got the time, I'll go for it. And I'll go. And what's really funny is that ultimately, if I hang in the argument long enough, they usually come around and apologize or say, "Oh, I didn't realize," or the usual "let's agree to disagree" horse crap. But the truth of it is it's a symptom of something else. The anger is a symptom of something else.
Absolutely.
And it brings us back to the mental health issues.
Yeah.
If you're finding yourself being angry on Twitter and trolling people and doing these things, something's going on.
Yeah.
If that's your outlet, something's going on. And we still love you for it. We understand. None of us are perfect. But if you're hurting that bad and you need to say crappy things about people,
absolutely,
understand that you might not be okay. You might not be all right with yourself. And, we're not looking, there's this thing, you elites in Hollywood and blah, blah. I'm like, oh, for God's sakes, I'm a voter. I pay my taxes. I pay my bills. I've got 3 kids. I've got to sort out all their stuff all day. I've got my wife. My wife looks after me. I look after her. It's like, it's still normal. I still have to go to the bloody grocery store and buy toilet paper. It's not like I have somebody comes in and tears off sheets of toilet paper for me and hands them on a silver platter. And it's this idea that it's the anger that there's some sort of invisible disconnect between you and me, Now, circumstances put you and I together. We happen to like each other because we happen to like each other. That's got nothing to do with the job. I know you like my work and I like your work, but that's a separate issue from the fact that I like you, Yeah. And finding the common ground, finding the things that you agree on, finding the love, is everything. It's everything. I've sat with, I'm a moderate Democrat. Mm-hmm. I'm by no means a socialist, but it just happens to be who I am. And I grew up in England and I live in America. And I've had 6-7 hour conversations with cigars in cigar bars because of my supposed celebrity with people who are so far extreme in an opposite direction politically than me. And after the end of X amount of hours of talking, we found we agree on 95% of almost everything. Absolutely. And there's just the 5% is usually the implementation or the consequences. That's what we're discussing. Yeah. So we've come away from debate. We've come away from educating each other with kindness to just spouting crap at each other as though they're little emotional hand grenades that you roll into somebody's conversation. And I really feel for the people that do that because they're shutting themselves out from a world of love. They're killing that lovely connection that you get, Fans are the greatest things in the world. If somebody wants to dress up as me and come to a convention, I think it's the most courageous and brilliant thing I've ever seen. But if you dress up as Castiel, I'm still going to slag it because it's, a 20 quid costume, still a 20 quid costume, right? Can't even say it. I said that, 20 quid costume. But yeah, seriously, I mean, the Angel never changed. 27 years he's been on that show and he hasn't learned anything. It's terrible. That Angel is just. I like Steve though. I like the character he played. Steve worked in the in like 7-Eleven. I thought that was good. But my God, Angels, they're all dumb.
And they've got to get a new Mac at some point, surely, because
Well, it's that's the Columbo syndrome. I had a makeup artist who was Peter Falk's makeup artist for years. And apparently they used to try to kidnap his coat on occasion.
Oh, yeah.
And rebuild it, get another one and build it. And he would always know. No matter if they aged it or did it or whatever, because the thing was falling apart. And he only loved the coat that he loved. And so they had to work so hard for so many years to try to keep his coats. There's funny things about Totems. I was talking to Christopher Lloyd about his jacket for Taxi. Yeah. There was always a story. It was his roommate's jacket or whatever. We weren't talking about that. He goes, somebody stole it. I'm like, oh my God, why would you steal something that's so iconic to a character? I mean, it's like, you can never tell anybody you've got it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But his connection to his coat and my connection to the suits. I have my suits and I have my coat and I have my tie. And, Ron Moore bought me my glasses from BSG. So I have my glasses for Roma.
Yeah.
And I have those little things that remind me of just how wonderful my experiences have been doing what I love doing.
Yeah.
And, and to see somebody else putting them on and weirdly enough, being comfortable in my skin when I'm not always comfortable in my skin, but to see people comfortable in my skin. I've seen people in transition with going from painted on beards to real beards. And I've never been more proud of people's journeys and involving me in costume I'm humbled and honored to be a tiny, tiny, tiny part of their journey. And it's happening in both directions. And I find it just incredibly humbling to know that we didn't design an impact. We didn't go out and say, I'm going to be famous. I'm going to do this. And people are going to feel a certain way about something. We were just lucky enough that these things came together, and we have an impact, and we have a platform, and that platform is grown by the fans. And that's the thing, and that's the message of today. The message of today is hang on in there.
Yeah.
Hang on in, because there's people here to help. There's people who will point you in the right direction, hopefully share their experience. If you're having difficulty, if you're hurting, if you're just not coping, if you're willing to reach out just this much, if you can be brave enough. And conversely, if you know somebody who's not doing well, it's your job. It's your job to check. It's your job to see. It's your job to annoy them and find out if there's something you can do just to make them a little safer, a little better, and a little happier. And I see more of that in fandom than I do on any other organization ever. And I'm proud of that, and I'm proud to be part of that. And I love each and every one of you out there for that reason, because we can make a change. We can make a change. Small changes in people's lives have huge impact. And if we save one person from hurting themselves, or we save one person from living in total despair just by simple acts of kindness, then it's all worthwhile. Then all of it is worthwhile. All the difficulty, all the, I've got to go do this, I've got to do that. Just the idea that we can just pick somebody up just a little, because we can't do it on our own.
Yeah.
Get it through your thick, bloody skulls. We can't do it on our own. And the world conspires to make us be on our own on occasions, like COVID, like, terrible analogy, but physical disabilities, mental disabilities, a terrible phrase. I hate disability as a concept, but just to make a catch-all, these things require kindness and help to move us forward as a society, to be inclusive, and this Twitter crap and all this negative stuff is all about cutting people out and being disinclusive. And yet the human need, the human want, and the human desire to be human is to love. That's the thing. To be human is to love. And if you're feeling bad, there's nothing better than picking up your phone and calling somebody who might be feeling bad too. And I know I'm making a gross generalization about impact and about what is required. Professional help is absolute. It's absolute. And if you can encourage anybody in difficulty to seek professional help, drive them there, walk them there, encourage them to be there, you are helping. But simple kindness can sometimes be the key to that door for finding an answer. And I think that's the real backbone of fandom. I think that's really what it's about. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. Do you know what, Mark? It's practically a decade since I first met you. I was such a huge fan of you, such a huge fanboy when I met you. I was in awe that you even knew who I was. Just in awe. But I tell you what, every single time I get to speak to you, I become a bigger fan. And that's totally genuine.
Thank you.
I wish there were more people like you out there.
There are. And don't ever despair. The trouble we get is when we compare our insides, the way we feel, to other people's outsides.
Yeah.
It's the persona that people put up. Brash, insecure, all these reasons behind the reason why they are mean or brash or difficult. If you look behind that, you'll see shy, you'll see hurt, you'll see pain, you'll see difficulty. And the ability to have empathy with your fellow human beings takes down every barrier. And there's more of us than there are of them. Even though I hate to separate. There's more love than there is hate. There is, and there always has been. And I don't despair at humanity. I despair at its ignorance and its stupidity and its behavior. But behavior can change. Behavior can change. It costs nothing to be of loving service to another human being. And it gives you everything. It gives you the ability to breathe in and breathe out without that 10-pound weight on your chest or whatever it is that's bugging you, you know. And I've got kids, and I watch my kids do it. I've got friends, I watch my friends do it. And sometimes I just don't want to. Sometimes I don't want to be nice. Sometimes I want to claim my stake in the corner of, you've done me wrong, and I'm going to tell you why you've done me wrong. And the truth of the matter, when that falls away, and I try to see the other person's point of view or see where they may be coming from, my world becomes infinitely bigger.
Yeah.
And you're encouraging people to join in. There's nothing better than a line in Wrexham. There's nothing better than a photo line in Wrexham. You see every costume, every type of fan, depending on who's being photographed, but there's always more than one room, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you go, you see, and you just see, you go, wow, you're wearing your hearts on your sleeves. That's what it is. They're standing there, be it in the cold, with a little bit of sunshine, but it's still nippy out. And they're all costumed up or not. But there's this massive enthusiasm and there's this massive feeling of camaraderie. People aren't punching each other in lines. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
I think they've had one serious incident at Comic-Con in San Diego, and that was some fight over a girl's affection between two guys. Somebody jabbed a pencil into somebody else's hand. He didn't go through it, but it just jabbed him enough to, they had to go get it checked. That was the extent of the violence at Comic-Con, I think, in 2017 or 16 or something. It shows you. It's not hard to cross that line to a place of love. It's really not that hard. It's a little scary. It's not the easiest thing to think you can do, but try it and you get to feel better.
Amazing. Mark, I literally love you so much. Honestly, I
love
love
you,
you as a human being. Honestly, you are amazing. Time has caught us up, Mark, because I would just sit here for the rest of the night speaking to you. I'm not kidding you. Mark, you're awesome as ever. Thank you so much as well for giving up all your time today and helping us raise money for the Mind as well.
Love to you. Love to everyone. Please, everybody, stay safe. Be good to yourself. Be good to yourself. If you're doing things that you know are not good for you, talk about it. If you can't stop doing the things that you know are not good for you, get some help. There's no embarrassment and shame in getting some help. If you're struggling with your mental health, if you're struggling on a daily basis, get some help. At a minimum, talk about it. Start by talking about it, and let's get people to some solutions. Let's get people to some like-minded souls who truly understand what's going on. And I think if we manage to do any of that today or at any point, we'll have come a long, long way, especially in a world that's so bloody awful right now.
Yeah.
It's just so bloody awful. I mean, how can you not be despondent and in despair when everything's up in the air and you don't know whether you're going to get French cheese anymore?
There's light at the end of the tunnel. I think if you squint,
and it's not a train.
It's not a train. No, it's going to be a vaccine.
I love you lots. Go.
And you too, Mark. I love you loads. My love to your family as well. Thank you so much. Oh, sorry.
Who are you talking to next?
I've got the rest of the night off, and I'll tell you why. Because genuinely, it's my birthday tomorrow.
Happy birthday!
Thank you,
everybody. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dearies. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you,
and
Mark.
many more.
Thank you, sir.
You have a wonderful Christmas if I don't talk to you. Have a very happy New Year. And thank you. And I hope to see you soon when we get back on the road.
Absolutely. Cannot wait to see you. Mark, thank you so much. Thank you for being part of our Wales Comic Con Live family, because we absolutely love you. And for raising money, funds for Mind, the charity helping us towards maintaining a better mental health through this current COVID situation. I've got to go now. As I said, it genuinely is my birthday tomorrow, which is lovely, which means I've got to get Mark on a crossroads and renegotiate my contract as well. 10
years
up
have
already,
a soul, Reese.
10 years up already. Can you believe
Reese,
that?
You sold your soul years before that.
Oh, there we go.
I gave you a freebie. I just gave you one out of the goodness of my heart.
And it's been a good ride, I've got to say. It's been good. It's been good. Well, I'm obviously popping off to hell, but the rest of you stay right where you are. Loads more to come on Wales Comic Con Live. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.